Hello everyone, and welcome to this video tutorial in which we're going to be doing some A-level law revision on criminal law. And today we're going to be looking at a 10-mark question on the AQA A-level law paper, and this one is taken from June 2020. Okay, so I've switched my screen here, so we're now looking at the AQA A-level law paper from June 2020, and this is paper 1, criminal law. Now, we're not going to look at the whole paper today. I just want to focus on a 10-mark question and show you how you should answer that. So we'll just scroll through so you can see the format of the exam anyway. So I'm scrolling past the multiple choice questions, and I have got other videos on my channel which show you how to answer these questions if you need some help with that. We've then got a 5-mark question, another 5-marker, and here's the 10-mark question that I want to look at today. So the scenario that you've got here, number 8, is Caroline wrongly believed that Debbie had started a rumour that Caroline had cheated in an exam. This made Caroline furious with Debbie. During the lunch break, Debbie walked into the college toilets while Caroline was washing her hands. Caroline became very angry and threw liquid soap in Debbie's face. Debbie suffered an allergic reaction to the soap, resulting in blurred vision for several hours after the attack. And you were asked here, in relation to the incident with Debbie, advise Caroline of her criminal liability for the offence of assault, i.e. battery, occasioning actual bodily harm under section 47 of the Offences Against the Person Act, 1861. And you can see it's worth 10 marks, and it's quite a nice question because it tells you precisely which of the non-fatal offences you should be applying to this scenario. In order to answer this question well, you need to use that idea structure for answering a scenario. So I'm going to switch my screens over now to a PowerPoint so I can show you how to get a good answer to this question. Okay, so on this slide, I've written a bullet point answer to the scenario from that exam paper. And you can see that I've highlighted the I, the D, the E and the A, which I was just referring to. So idea, the I, the D, the E and the A, is the structure that will help you to get a really nice answer to this question. So each letter stands for a different step. Identify the offence, define the offence, explain the offence, and apply it back to the scenario. And I've also colour-coded anything to do with the actus reus is in green, anything to do with the mens rea is blue, and I've also put the cases in purple just so it stands out a bit easier for you. So the first thing we need to do is identify the offence. Now, this particular question was nice because it told us which offence we should be applying, but nonetheless, we're still going to go ahead with this step. Caroline may be liable for assault occasioning ABH under section 47 of the Offences Against the Person Act, 1861. So now we've identified it's section 47, we need to define section 47. So the definition just requires you to list the actus reus and the mens rea for that offence that you've identified. So for section 47 ABH, we need an assault or a battery which occasions ABH, and the mens rea is intentional recklessness, that's what that IR stands for, intentional recklessness as to whether our victim apprehends or is subjected to unlawful force. Now that we've defined the offence, we need to explain it more fully using our cases. Now, this particular question asks you to apply ABH, and ABH is a tricky one to apply because the actus reus is a bit strange in that first you have to prove there was either an assault or a battery which has occasioned ABH. So it really depends in your scenario. Was it an assault that led to the ABH? So for an example, was it a text message that caused them to suffer psychiatric harm? Or was it a battery which has occasioned ABH, like in this case where there was something thrown at the victim which has caused an injury? So whichever it was in your scenario, that's the one that you need to start explaining. So you can see here that I've put, first, Caroline must have committed an assault or battery. Here it may be a battery because she's thrown soap in Debbie's face. So I'm going to explain battery before I explain ABH. So battery is the application of unlawful force with intentional recklessness as to whether force is applied. Force can be the slightest touch, Collins and Wilcock. Touching clothes can be enough, Thomas. It could be through an omission, Santana Bermudez, or through an indirect act, Martin, DPP and K. And we need intentional recklessness as to whether the force was applied, and that comes from Venner. So I've explained the battery, but I also need to explain the ABH. So ABH has been held to be any hurt or injury calculated to interfere with the health or comfort of the victim, and that comes from Miller. And it's useful to list some examples of the types of things that have been classed as being ABH, such as loss of consciousness from RT and the DPP, cutting the victim's hair, like Smith Michael, or psychiatric injury, like Chan Fook. And the mens rea for section 47 ABH is that the defendant must intend or be reckless as to whether the victim fears or is subjected to unlawful force. So note that they don't have to intend or be recklessness as to the ABH, just as to whether they've done the assault or the battery. So now we've explained the offence, we need to apply it back to our characters. And the explanation that you've put above helps to give you a plan for your application, if you like, because you need to go through everything you've just explained, applying it back to your characters. So what we can say is that there is the application of unlawful force when the soap hits Debbie. And you could use the case of DPP and K there, because although it's indirect contact in that it's not Caroline's hand or fist that hits Debbie, it's the soap, that's still going to be enough because it's very similar actually to DPP and K where there was acid in the hand dryer. So there is the application of unlawful force when that soap hits Debbie's face. The fact it might be a slight touch is irrelevant, Collins and Wilcock. And it also appears that Caroline intended to apply this force because she was angry about the exam, but at the very least she's reckless. So in other words, she's got the actus reus and the mens rea for the battery. Now we need to just top it up, if you like, to make it up to the ABH. So we can say that our victim Debbie suffers ABH because she suffered an allergic reaction and blurred vision. And those injuries clearly meet the Miller definition that says that it's any hurt or injury calculated to interfere with her health or comfort. Well, an allergic reaction, blurred vision, is going to interfere with her health or comfort. Now, Caroline's going to want to argue that Debbie's got this strange condition that makes her more susceptible to allergic reactions and blurred vision, but you can apply the case of Blau here, that Caroline must take her victim as she finds them, and the fact that Debbie is more susceptible perhaps to injury than someone else is irrelevant. And Caroline is at least reckless as to whether force is applied, although I do think it looks like she intended it, but she's going to be guilty of ABH. So that's how you would get a nice answer to that 10-mark question from the 2020 AQA exam paper. So I hope that was helpful to you. Remember that I do have other videos on my channel that go through other questions from the AQA exam papers, and I've also got videos that go through the law on all the different non-fatal offences against the person if you would find those helpful as well.